So I said, developing a quality children ministry should be a priority. Should be a priority. Yes, because Jesus gives priority to children. Developing quality children ministry requires right kind of person. Third, we looked at developing quality children ministry is built on principles, right? Number one, the principle of excellence. I mean, if this is what we saw. If something worth doing, it's worth doing well. Do your ministry around excellence, not really doing good, but you do very well. Invest enough time and money in this ministry. Now, four, developing quality children's ministry requires a place, right? Usually a place or a space is a problem when planting a church, right? We have, and all the time we have this issue, right? Because, we, as far as our country is concerned, India is concerned, or maybe as some of our neighboring countries are concerned, we may have the issue of space, right? Resources are limited. Planters are to start too soon, and rent space is too small, right? They lack money. So I mean, people usually have small places. Now, the problem may not be the lack of money, but maybe problem is the lack of vision and planning, usually. Because they think that a children ministry is not so important. The adult ministry is so important. They are shooting too low and have already committed their churches to mediocrity. So when choosing a meeting place, rent enough space to allow for future growth, not just current needs. So you need to have a place where you can have other ministries. You need a space for 2 children ministry when you start holding public services, right? At least two places where you can have children. If it is a big type of ministry that you're beginning, you will need space for provide for nursery, childcare, right? That is, childcare is used. Now, I'm talking about some important factors. What is nursery? Right, from birth to 24 months. So that means from very little one to 24 months, 2 years old. Those kind of children, infants, should be kept in separate nursery within a church so that the adults can peacefully be part of the service. Second, you need to have a place to conduct children ministry during service time. There's some children, we at least we need to have at least age of 10, right? Or at least until age of 8. Those kind of children, we need to have a separate place during the service where we can have children's service, children worship service. So that is also possible, right? So that oftentimes in big cities, families don't come because there is no place for their children to look after. But many other Western countries, they do give a lot of priority for this kind of children ministry. I have seen nurseries, well-trained ladies care for the nurseries, and children ministry. Have adequate signage to direct people to where they need to go to drop off and pick up their children. So give information that is necessary, right? So I'm saying here is that, yes, there should be a place for children. In church planting, children ministry is very key, right? Never take it as light. Developing quality children ministries requires planned. The most important question you can ask about children's ministry is, what are we trying to accomplish through our ministry? Yeah, first question. We have children, we sing songs, clap the hands, sing songs, teach the stories. What are we trying to accomplish? Simply, you do something without any goal doesn't make a sense. I don't think we should do anything without a proper plan and a goal. So start the end with the mind in mind, right? What we wanted to accomplish. What changes do you want to see in children's life? Yeah, changes. That is very important every time. So anyone who is engaged in the children ministry is praying deeply, right? He bases in prayer that need, that in the future, he would like to see that these children grows up godly men and women. Godly men and women. That's what we would like to see. What truths do you want them to learn? Not only changes, what truth? What skills do you want them to acquire in life, right? Area of management, financial management, or have friendship, things like that. What do you want them to be able to do after spending years in your children ministry? You want them to be in the church now, worshiping Jesus with the adults, that they need to be prepared, that they need to learn to give, they need to learn to do ministry, that they need to learn to do many things, right? Everything that adults are aimed to do should be taught to the children when they are children. What do you expect from an adult? You expect from an adult to have a family life. So you teach children about how the family is going to be. You expect the family to work hard for the living, hard-working people, make a living for the family, and you train your children to work hard for the future. You expect your adults to do ministry, evangelize, like share the gospel. You train your children exactly the same in a small way. So what do you expect from an adult that is being trained, given now to the children? So don't think that children ministry is simply sharing some song, teaching some song, and some stories done. No. So maybe you can have children church, right? Children church. And in that, as children grows up, we give them opportunity to share from the scripture to the children, maybe 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, trying to equip them in, right, whatever the ways they can. To talk to the people about Jesus, how train, right? So children ministry that so far what we have see it is that teaching them some moral stories or singing or teaching them to learn. I think that's not what we should be doing. I still remember when we were in Kerala, started our first church plant. We didn't have much children. We had, in the beginning, the children were just our daughters. Just our daughters. I still remember. If you know me personally, you know that I'm not a singer at all. It's not, I'm not a good singer. I'm not a singer at all. I'm not a singer. But, God gave me the opportunity to go to Bible colleges and I learned some songs. And I still remember teaching my girls, because they were the only Sunday school kids. I taught them to sing some English songs, those small choruses, small songs. I said, maybe in the future, it is going to help you. Well, a small foundation that has been laid there. And my girls, somehow they developed an interest in singing songs and things like that. And I'm glad that as they grew in that church, we gave priority for children to sing in the church. And it was happy to see that they were used. Now, as they grew up, they were started to use that in the church. They're singing in the church. And still they do that kind of ministry. It's simply because you simply put a foundation. And I know, still I know my girls sing songs that they learned not by me, but it is by Saji brother, he's here. His mother taught many older songs. Then she started to teach, later. And she started to teach songs, and my children sing those songs still. The reason is because that somebody put a foundation. So, friends, never look at children ministry as unworthy or waste of time. You don't understand what you do, because it is just common logic. There was a big argument against Sunday school. These are all unbiblical. Where in the Bible you see Sunday school? Because there are some people who think, oh, it's unbiblical because the Bible doesn't have Sunday school, right? Years ago, like decades ago, it was a big argument. Sunday school is unbiblical. And of course, I know that Bible colleges and seminaries are also unbiblical in that sense, right? Because Bible doesn't talk about much about Bible colleges. But I'm saying we have a common logic. What is the common logic? The common logic is that you see a doctor, you see an engineer. Engineer doesn't become an engineer one day, miraculously. God gifted someone with power to heal, write down the prescription. You got cancer, or you got cancer. So here are the medicine. This is the chemotherapy. This is the medicine that we are going to inject to you. This is the problem. This is the surgery that none is going to do that. They went through a process. What is the process? They went to a nursery first. Like all of you went. They went to a nursery. They played with the other peers, other children. They started to write A, B, C, D. They started to sing those songs. Maybe I did not, but those who are now studying in an English medium, they started to sing that song. What is that? Twinkle, twinkle, little star. They started to learn that small songs, and they grow, and finally they become. So that means what we are here to understand is that, yes, we want our children to be well equipped. Of course, we know that it is God who opens their heart. It is God who saves. But the things that we should be doing should be done. It is worth. It's worth. And I still, I know that I did not have a good Sunday school. I did not study any verse in a Sunday school because I never liked it, because I was not interested at all. But when I started to go to the Bible college, I went when I was 17 years old, very early. And in the first year, the verses that I studied, right? John 3:16, or the verse, it rings here. It is there. I don't forget. I don't forget. So it's very important. It's worth ministry. Determine what are your objectives for your children's ministries, and then select materials that will help you to achieve it, right? That's what you need to be doing. All right? You need to have ministries, children ministries, with a proper goal. Fourth, developing a quality children ministry requires precaution. Yes, big one. Many local church ministries are guilty of negligence when it comes to their children ministries. Many churches put their children at risk unnecessarily because you do not train them. I remember going, I was invited to Sri Lanka to speak in a conference years ago. And of course, I was supposed to teach some youngsters. And what was the topic? They wanted to have some topic that they learned. So the topic was creation and evolution. Well, that is a topic. And I prepared materials, which is, well, I didn't know that they were very smart kids. I thought they were at least college-going guys, but it was, finally I saw them, they were very smart kids. What does it matter? I started to talk about evolution first, and started to talk about the weaknesses of evolution. And as I started to say there are kids who are studying 10th grade, 9th grade, 8th grade. They all learned this one, that evolution is right. And these children learned for the first time that now this is the first time we are hearing that these are actually is kind of religion. It doesn't have much scientific evidences. Doesn't have much scientific evidences. Well, children were being taught something against the scripture. You have to prepare if you want them to be in the future, that they know, if you want them to know the truth, you teach them well. Well, accepting the truth is God's work, but teaching the truth is your work, right? You teach. Whether they accept or follow that truth is later. But it should not be that our kids, they did not know the truth because you did not teach them the truth. That should not be the case. Don't put the children into risk. You don't have to do anything to be guilty of negligence. If you don't do anything to protect your children, you are already being negligent. You are negligent because you did not do anything to protect your children. Your church is negligent because they don't do anything. So there are three major areas of concern when it comes to the care of children, right? Recruitment of workers, supervision, provision of a safe environment. Yes, we don't want any sinful things to take place, right? We want to be very careful when we have people. We want to have families, men and women who are committed to Jesus, love Jesus, and love Jesus kids. Love Jesus kids, love kids. So that kind of people, because in many churches we have a problem, not here, but in many Western churches, there are a lot of things that happen because of that issue. There were not godly men to teach youngsters. So you must design your children ministry with security in mind. Their security is very important. Children must be protected from the dangerous environment. For example, yes, electric plugs or foods that they are allergic to, those kind of things. Maybe because we need to be careful. Children must be protected from dangerous people, sexual offenders. Yeah, there are some people are dangerous. Children must be protected from dangerous parents. Some parents, they do a lot of, emotion, commotions in the in a children's class. They come, they wanted to watch. No, you don't want any parents to watch. Because some of the churches, some of the parents are the worst parenting. And we need to be very careful with that. There are a number of things that you as a church planter can do to protect the children entrusted to your care from a sexual abuse. This is a big thing, sexual abuse, right? This has been happening in many places, so make sure. May not be much in our country because our ministries are very small ministries. But when there are bigger churches, this has become a big issue. Set up a child safety guidelines during your prenatal phase of development, so they are part of your overall ministry plan, right? Who can be, how you touch all kinds of things, how it should be. There should be some safety guideline. Safety policy should be require screening of anyone working with the children, that you need to look for them. What has safety guideline? One of the things, has he an offender before? Any kind of history of baggage, sinful baggage that this person has? We don't want to have that kind of people, even though they're repented. We don't want to have them if there is, right? So guidelines. Another thing, 2-person rule, right? That means you don't allow, when there are more children, you don't allow only one adults to be in the room. You want 2 adults to be in the room so that we can have. And in these days, make sure that if you are able to have camera security, you should have cameras installed, right? And it requires strict check-in, pick-up procedures for all children, right? Because another thing is that a lot of viruses and bacteria can be brought, and so we need to be careful with that. So there are a lot of things that has to be careful these days. If you have a nursery, if you provide a nursery, you need to be careful a lot of things, because caring for small babies are so important and so careful. Establish appropriate behavioral guidelines for all workers. Adults should avoid unsupervised time alone with the child or teen, right? You don't allow child or a teen to talk with an adult without any supervision. In absence of permission from parent or guardian, any individual meetings with a child or teen should be held in the public areas of the church or church office with the door left open, right? No child or teen should be left alone with another child, teen or adult in an unsupervised situation. We should not do that. No child or teen should be left alone. No group of children or teens should be left alone without adult supervision, right? No teacher, supervisor, mentor, or other person should be allowed to take children on field trips without a written consent of parents, right? For a camp or any other things. Sometimes we take for camp, whatever. Teens and adults should be refrained from transporting a child or teen where alone without express written consent of the parents, right? So that means I have given a number of guidelines that can help us, in safeguard our children from some unbehavior, some sinful behavior people. We need to be very careful. And the next is minimize the risk of child sexual abuse by taking precautions, right? Yes. Install windows in all the door? Yes. So what you should be doing? I have given information, limit physical contacts, and teaching infants in their open areas. If there is no place, you don't want to have closed room, or at least, and we want to have workers to report, right? And we want to monitor. And these days, camera facilities, I think, is the best way to record everything that is being said and taught in a class where there are children, right? Provide adequate supervisory personnel for all church activities. So we need to have, if a church is a big one, then there should be supervisors. So friends, these are all some of the guidelines when you grow up in your ministry, in a church ministry, because I'm saying it is very important. If you are going to be a church planter, children ministry is very important. Then you should know what should be done in a children ministry. You don't want to go there as a novice, not knowing anything. You don't want to do that. You want it to be careful planner for a children ministry. That is what we want.